It's raining today.
The weather is so cool now, Grandma. I love rains.
Is it? Then you would love to hear about Jane and her little monsoon adventure. It had been raining for hours. Jane stood under the ledge of an old house, soaked and shivering. The rain hit the ground with a steady but loud rhythm. The sky was dark and heavy, and the clouds hid the sun completely. Even though it was daytime, it felt like night. There was no one around. No houses, no cars, no signal on her phone. Just this one house at the bottom of the hill with a small warm light glowing on the porch. Jane didn't trust people easily, not after the things she had been through. But this house felt strange, not scary, just quiet, like it had been waiting. Her body couldn't take the cold any longer. Her shoes were soaked and fingers numb. So she ran up the steps and pushed open the wooden door. It creaked loudly. Inside, the smell of wet wood and something old filled the air. Jane pulled out her phone and found the switchboard. The lights came on, yellow and flickering, but they worked. The house looked worn out. Mold grew in every corner of the walls. Water stains covered the ceiling. But there was no dust. The blankets were clean. There was even a small heater in the corner. She placed her wet clothes near it and rubbed her hands for warmth. The layout of the house was strange. The front door opened straight into a large hall, followed by a kitchen. There was no wall separating the hall and the kitchen. Next to the kitchen was a small, strange door. When she opened it, it was simply a bathroom. At the back, there were two more doors, probably the bedrooms. But what caught her eyes was a pale white plastic table that stood firm between the hall and the kitchen. On the table was a red leather diary. It looked fancy, almost too clean for the place. Just as she stepped toward it, a heavy sound came from above. She froze. There was no second floor. She looked up. The ceiling didn't show any signs of movement, but the sound had been clear. Clear footsteps. She shook her head. Maybe it was the rains playing tricks or thunder being a kid. So she walked around the house to explore more. On one of the bedroom doors, there was a photograph. A man smiling at the camera, and a woman behind him sitting on the bed. Her face, though, was blurry, but one could make out that she, as well as him, was smiling. Jane opened the door, and inside, the bed looked exactly like the one from the photo. She stepped in slowly. It felt like she had walked into someone's memory. She imagined a woman standing near the window watching the rain. Something about it all seemed too familiar. Then a tap on her shoulder made her gasp. She turned around quickly, only to find the man from the photo standing there. His face was calm, not scary. He smiled kindly, as if he knew her. For a moment, she felt safe. Then he turned around and walked back into the hall. His footsteps echoed softly, but Jane did not follow. She was frozen, her heart pounding, and then another loud thud at the ceiling, and she ran toward the door, tears welling up in her eyes. She couldn't leave. The metal gate wasn't her barrier. She hit something else, an invisible wall. She fell hard on her back, blood trickling down her nose. Her vision blurred. The house began to twist before her eyes. The walls ripped like soft wax, melting in heat. The warm glow of the light faded into pale, sickly hue. Shadows stretched unnaturally, crawling across the floor like fingers. The air turned colder. The paint peeled back. What once looked old now felt rotten. The house had been hiding its true face until now. She screamed loudly, hoping someone outside might hear her, but no one answered. She had no choice. The rain kept pouring, so she stepped back into the hall. The house no longer felt real. It was like a dream unraveling, walls pulling away from each other, rooms stretching into endless tunnels. The air was dense, like walking through water. Time moved slowly, each second dragged behind her like a weight. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears louder than the creaking floor. It was the only sound that reminded her that she was still here, still trapped. Jane walked slowly. The man from the photo was there again, standing near the table, pointing at the diary. Jane's walking got laboring. When she finally touched the leather cover, more footsteps echoed above her. This time, faster. She opened the diary. The first line read, "If you're reading this, I am still upstairs." She flipped through the pages. In the middle, there was a photograph, a staircase lit up by flash. But this house had no stairs. Where was that picture taken? Jane felt a deep fear rise in her chest. She didn't want to be here anymore. The lights flickered and then died. The house fell into complete darkness, lit only by the weak screen of her phone. She looked for candles, torches, anything, but the house swallowed every light and every sound. Even her own breath felt far away. She found herself walking back to the bedroom, the one with the photo on the door. She didn't plan it. Her legs just moved, as if something in that room was calling her. The hallway felt longer than before, walls bending at strange angles. The bedroom door stood slightly open now. She pushed it gently. Inside, nothing had changed, and yet everything had. The colors dull, the bed looked more lived in, like someone had just left it a moment ago. The window creaked softly in the wind, letting in the thin streaks of rain. She was compelled to step in. It was the only place in the house that felt almost familiar, like it had held her before, like it remembered her. The footsteps returned too, now slower and closer. Jane followed them. They led her into the second room that she had not opened yet. She turned the knob, and the lights inside turned on by themselves. It was a teenager's room. Posters of Taylor Swift and cricket players, a single bed at the corner of the room. Next to it, there was a bedside table with cigarette butts on it. An old cupboard lay next to the door. Jane stepped inside. She touched the posters, the walls, the bed covers. And then a 14-year-old girl stormed in and slammed the door. A face without eyes, no nose, no mouth. The girl sat beside her. Jane was shocked. Was she not visible? The man from the photo entered again with a leather belt in his hand. His fury made the room glow red. He shouted and hit the child repeatedly. Jane screamed silently. Her hands covered her mouth. The sight was too cruel for her to see. She turned her face to the wall. On the wall waited a sticky note that read, "Find me." And below it, the staircase photo from the diary was pinned. Hours passed and Jane kept searching the house again and again. No stairs, no attic, no answers. "Hello? Is anyone here?" she shouted. Through the window, she saw a man in the raincoat standing outside. He looked at the house nervously. He mumbled under his breath. Jane banged on the glass wall that seemed pleased to trap her. She cried, waved, screamed. But he didn't see her. She dropped on the floor, crying as he walked away. Rain was still piercing through her skin like needles. She felt eyes on her. Slowly she looked up. The grey sky had finally turned dark. Now the clouds covered the moon. But there was a new window, a new floor that had appeared above the house, and in the window stood a figure, watching her. Its smile stretched wide. It waved. Jane frantically started hitting the wall, bruising her hands. The figure opened its mouth, and inside was only black. It was hollow like a grave. She ran back inside. Next to the bathroom door now appeared a new corridor. As she walked, the footsteps matched hers. And then came a voice, soft and broken.
Don't you remember me? We lived here. Why do you keep leaving me?
The house darkened. Jane saw the man again, beating the child ruthlessly. But this time the face became clearer. Jane gasped. I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to stop him. The girl turned and looked at her. Her lips were stitched to seal. The voice spoke again.
You left me. Every time.
Jane stepped back. The room spun and the girl was screaming. She heard a vase crash. The man was dragging a woman's body across the floor. Jane touched her own head. She was bleeding.
This is our home. I never left.
You died and I stayed.
The child sat next to the woman's body. Jane's body. It decayed slowly. And the voice came again.
You didn't stop him. You let me suffer. You let him become a monster.
Jane shook her head frantically. No, I was scared. At the end of the corridor, a staircase appeared, glowing, calling. The voice broke one last time.
Don't leave me again.
Jane wiped her tears and placed her hand on the little girl's shoulders. She didn't feel pain anymore. She walked towards the light and the stairs that waited.
That was scary. Where do you get these stories from, Grandma?
Oh, I have my ways. Dead people talk a lot if you know how to listen. Sometimes I listen at their grave. Shh. They are still listening.